I'm making a homemade sausage and apple pie. I'll be using sausages, apple, onion, a simple short crust pastry. I've made my own, you can easily use frozen, and the Maggi deviled sausages mix. You don't need to feel limited by what's on the front of the packet. It's easy to make up a whole range of recipes depending on what you've got in your cupboard. So to start with, I'm going to get some oil into a pan, just heat that up, and I'm going to chop up an onion. Get this going, I've already made a start. When you cut the onion, if you do it lengthways, then you can chop on something flat and it makes it easier. Just give this a quick chop. This into the pan. And then into the pan too, I'm going to add some chopped up pork sausages. These are going to go in now. And we're just looking to brown these just to get some colour on the sausages, not cook through necessarily. While that's starting to brown off, I'm going to peel and core an apple, pork and apple. Such a classic combination. Use my little corer tool. Give this a quick chop too. Our rabbit will love these peelings. There we go. In a jug, I've got a cup and a half of water, and I'm going to add into that 2 tablespoons of good old tomato sauce. 1, 2 will do. And the secret ingredient, the packet of the Maggi deviled sausages mix. Pour this straight in. There we go, and give it a good stir to combine. I'm just going to pour this straight into my pan. I'm also going to add got a few fresh herbs here, rosemary and thyme, goes with pork and apple nicely. If you don't have fresh herbs, that's fine. Remember, the recipe base is packed full of flavours. I'm going to bring this to the boil, and it's going to simmer for about 10 minutes or so, just until the sausages cook through. The pie filling is cooked and looking delicious. It's just cooled a little. I'll pour it into my pie base here. If you pour it in while it's still too hot, it could bake the pastry. Yum. I was up early this morning, made 500 grams roughly of short crust pastry, just a basic mix, flour, butter, water, a little bit of salt. You can easily use ready-made frozen pastry. Lightly flour the bench top, lightly flour the rolling pin. I'm just going to create something called a false edge, which helps give your homemade pies a bit of a professional look. I've got my pastry here, and I'm going to just trim some strips, just like this. Brush the edge with water. The water helps it stick. And then we're just going to layer it on around the edge of the pie like this. On the rolling pin, and just drape it over the pie. Nice and simple. Then I'm going to use a knife just to cut round the edge and remove the excess pastry, which I'm going to be using. This won't go to waste. And just use your thumb, push in around the edge to crimp the edges together. Okay, that's crimped together. Something simple, I'll get myself a fork. Here it is. And I'm just gonna use the indentations of the fork here to do what's known as a simple forked edge. I'm just gonna cut out some shapes. I've got some letters, some decoration, however you like. I'll use milk or egg. Just make the pie look pretty. Once it's finished, it's going to bake in an oven for about 20 minutes until golden. Here is my finished sausage and apple pie with a cheese short crust pastry. A nice hearty meal, perfect as the nights are getting a little cooler.